So I'm giving you another look at the panel that I finished before we started. This is my first panel, and we have 7 rows here, 4 rows here, 4 rows here, 4 rows here. In this outer band, I have 2 rows. That's going to be our joining row. And then I quit when I get to here, and then I extend the sleeve out separately, and I'll show you how to do that, because if I keep going all the way around in rounds, this will be too long for me and it will get too wide for my body. So I have it folded. And so I'm ready to add the white to this panel, and we're going to do that right now. So I'm ready to fasten off again with my invisible join, and I'm going to thread my darning needle, take out my stitch marker. I'm going to go to the stitch past where I started, so that's the second stitch actually, and then I'm going to go back into this stitch and just go straight down and make that faux stitch. It's a little loopy, it just comes with the nature of this particular yarn, but it's going to look a lot better than it would if you just did a slip knot or a chain knot and fastened off. I just don't like the way those little knots look when you do it that way, but it's really not a big deal. If you prefer to do it that way, that is fine. You just do it the way you prefer, but this is the way that I prefer. It's just a little neater. So I'm going to weave in my end there, and I weave in my ends as I go. I just don't want to finish a project and then just have the dread of, oh dang, I've got to do all of these ends. I just prefer to do them as I go, and then when I'm finished, I'm really finished and I don't have ends to deal with at the end. I don't have a sad ending, I have a happy ending. And I just love this part. I'm going to fasten on with my white, and the reason I love it is I just love the contrast of blue and white. It's just my favorite, and whenever I'm clothing shopping, I just cannot resist a navy and white stripe or a blue and white stripe. I have a closet full of it. It's just one of those things that I love when I'm shopping. If I'm shopping with my daughters, they'll be like, hey, don't let mom see the navy and white stripe. They think my wardrobe is pretty unvarying, because I always, if I see a navy and white stripe or a black and white stripe or a blue and white stripe, I'm probably going to buy it. So I think that's why I love this combination so much. So we're just going to continue on with these white rows. We're going to do 4 rows of white, and I will meet you back after I have done 4 rows of white. I will show you what is next, and we are really making progress. We're going to have a sweater before you know it. So I've brought us over to a larger surface so you can see the whole thing. This is the panel that I completed before we started, and this is the panel that I'm using in the tutorial. So I finished my last row of the white, which is 4 rows of that, or rounds, and next I'm going to join on again with the cerulean. I think you know how to do that by now, so for sake of time and for being repetitive, I'm not going to show that again. But for me and my size, I need to do 2 rounds of the cerulean, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do 2 more rounds, and then I'm going to stop, and then I will show you what we do from there. We're going to be joining the sleeve. So I've already joined the sleeve on this one and made the extra rounds that I need to lengthen the sleeve. I'm definitely going to show you that, and we will do that together. But for now, I need you to do 2 more rows of the cerulean, or you need to keep going until the garment fits you. So this will be a measure as you go, as we spoke about in the beginning. If you think you are getting close to the size you need for your body, then you can add stitch markers along the top of the sleeve just to join it together, tack it together, so you can put your arm through it and see if the width of the sleeve is fitting your arm and if the width of the body is fitting your body. Now we're going to add more rows to the back. You're going to have more rows in the back than you will the front. So take that into account, but just start trying it on and fitting it to your body and getting a feel for how many rows you need to continue. And I will meet you back after I have done my 2 more rows of the cerulean. I've just finished my 2 rows of cerulean, and at this point I want you to spread out your piece and join opposite corners together to make your L shape. And now for me, I'm ready to size this to my arm. If you think it's about to your size and you don't need to make any more rows before trying it on, let's tack the front and the back together across here so we can find out if it's fitting our arm. So let's do that now. Here's my panel with the sleeve tacked together so we can try it on. But first I'm going to show you on this sweater what that's kind of going to be like. So I have the seam right here, as you can see, and then once I got to the end, then I added the rows to the sleeves, which is what we're going to do. And in the front here, I do have the 2 rows of, this is cerulean C, on the other one I'm doing it's cerulean. And so you've got 2 rows, and then I just did a single crochet band around that, and I will walk you through that as well. And on the back, you can see where the 2 panels are seamed together, and we have more rounds in the back than we do here, because you're going to need that space for your neck right here, and we'll go over that. So let's continue. So now take a look at your work and make sure that you have the wrong sides turned in and the right side out, so that when you're wearing it, the right side is going to be showing. We're going to seam along from our shoulder down our sleeve, and it's going to be really easy. Once you get going, there's just no problem whatsoever. You'll just be able to zip right through it. So go ahead and take the stitch marker off, and we are working into the corner between those 2 clusters there, and we're only going to slip stitch into one side. So this side that's facing you, the one on top, would be the easiest. So I'm going to put my hook through there and go ahead and make my slip stitch onto my hook. And then we're going to slip stitch into that corner there. I'm going to do that by pull the loop through, yarn over, and just pull through, and then we're slip stitched on. And now I'm going to be making a stacked single crochet, and I'm going to stack it 3 times as I have been throughout this project. You can just do 3 chains if you prefer. Then go back under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, go back between those 2 stitches, pull up a loop, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, go back through the loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Find the corner on the opposite side, and you're going to stick your hook through the back side of that, yarn over, pull it through, don't yarn over again, and just pull it straight through. So you're slip stitching on. And now this is where it gets a lot easier. All the way down this side on the front panel that's facing you, you're going to be doing clusters of 3 double crochet in each of these spaces. And on the opposite side, the coordinating space, you're just going to slip stitch into those spaces. It will start going very fast once we get going. So now we're going to make our first cluster into this hole right here. So there's your corner, and this is your first space on the side. You're going to yarn over, go through that space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's our first double crochet. I'm going to do 2 more. And now we're going to find the coordinating space on that opposite side. There's our first slip stitch. Here's our second one. So this is the first space down from the corner on that opposite side, and you're going to go into the back of that hole, the back of that space, yarn over, pull through, and just pull straight through. No need to yarn over again. It's just a slip stitch. Now here's our next space. We're going to do a cluster of 3 double crochet there. And then I'm going to take out this stitch marker. I no longer need that. And I'm going to go into the back of this next coordinating space that is straight over, straight across from the space I just made this cluster. Put my hook into the back of that space, pull up a loop, pull straight through, and just pull straight through. No yarning over. And we're going to make another cluster in this next space. So there's our cluster of 3 double crochet, and on the opposite side I'm going to go into the back of that space, yarn over, pull up that loop, and just pull it straight through. Now I want you to do that all the way down and meet me when we get to the end of the sleeve. I stopped at the corner, or just before the corner, and I'll show you how to do that, but you should be looking like this. So your seam should look something like this all the way down. And then at the corner, I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and we are going to join to this corner right here with a 1 double crochet. So instead of doing a whole cluster, just do 1 double crochet, and then find the opposite corner. You're going to put your hook into the back of that opposite corner, yarn over, and slip stitch through. And that's how we're going to join that corner. Now we're going back into that same space we just made with that 1 double crochet, and we're going to do a stacked single crochet or chain 3 if you prefer. I'm going to do the stacked single crochet. So there's my single crochet. I'm going back into that middle of that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both, go back through the middle of that stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through both. And now I'm going to do 2 more double crochets to make that cluster complete, and I am going to find that corner again. So that was not a corner, that was that space that we just made with that 1 double crochet. So our corner is still there, and we are going to make a cluster into that corner, 1 cluster of 3 double crochets. We are not going to chain 1 or make another cluster in that corner because we are finished with corners. This is going to be our sleeve, so it's going to go all the way around, no more corners. So now we're at that next space on the side, and you're going to do a cluster into that space. And you're going to do clusters of 3 double crochets in every one of those spaces around. And meet me back when we get to here, and I'll show you what to do right before joining with that last one. I'm back around to the end of the row, and I am at the corner. The corner is right there, and this is the top of my stacked single crochet where I started. And I'm going to make another cluster into the corner on the opposite side from where we started. So there's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that stacked single crochet where I started. Make sure it goes under both loops, and just slip stitch in. Now we're going to continue around. I have 1 more round of the cerulean that I need to do. So I'm going to go back into that space where I just slip stitch, and I'm going to do my stacked single crochet. And you can do your chains if you prefer. Just remember when you're doing your chains, if you're doing 1 chain or 2 chain, to just be consistent. It doesn't matter how many you do. It's not going to make a big difference. It just depends on your attention, but just be consistent throughout your project if you're choosing to do 2 chains or 3. The same with your corners. If you're choosing to chain 1 or chain 2 in your corners, just be consistent throughout the project. Okay, I've got that one done, and now I'm ready to continue the round. So I'm going to go all the way around with this color. So I will have a total of 4 rounds of this color when I get finished. Then I'll be doing another 4 rows of white after this, and then another 4 rows of cerulean, then another 4 rows of white. And that will be the last row for me, which will be the length that I need for my sleeve. Okay, I'll meet you back around when I finish, when I get to here. I'm at the end of the round. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that stacked single crochet. What I would like for you to do is to fasten off, attach your white, make 4 rows of white, 4 rows of cerulean, and the final rounds will be another 4 rows of white if that is what you want to do, if you want it to be exactly like mine. This should have shown you everything you need in order to do that. And when you get finished, if you want it exactly like mine, it should be like this. So this was our last round before we slip stitched the sleeve. And then I did 2 more of the cerulean. I'm going to do 4 white, 4 cerulean, and 4 more white, and then that will complete the sleeve. Or just keep going until the sleeve fits you with whatever color combination that you prefer. And once we've done that, we'll meet back again for joining the 2 panels together. If I'm facing the back of my sweater, this is the left side, going down my left arm, and I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to work from the bottom of the sweater across to the top. And we're going to fasten on in this corner. This is going to be the back of the sweater. We're going to fasten on this corner. We're going to make 1 more row of clusters down the side. I'll do that with you. So put your hook through the corner and fasten on. I'm going to do 1 stacked single crochet, or you can do the chain method if you prefer. Now I'm going to go into that next space and do a cluster of 3 double crochet, and I'm going to work all the way down the side to add this extra row to the back. So your corner should look like this where you fastened on, whether you did it with a stacked single crochet or if you did it with a chain. And if you did use the chain, I would use 3 for sure, since this is in the corner. And just keep doing those clusters all the way down, and I will meet you when we get to the other end, which is going to be the top of the neck of our sweater. This will be the back of the neck, and I'll meet you there. So I've come all the way up the back of the sweater, and I've stopped just shy of that last corner. So if you kind of turn the sweater diagonally, can you see where your corners are? Where the corners come all the way up, and then here's the last one. Well, we are going to do 1 double crochet into that last corner, and then we are going to finish off right there. And in this case, where there's nowhere for me to finish off into an invisible join, I am just going to cut my yarn, and I'm going to chain 1, and pull it through. And I'm going to go ahead and weave in my end so I don't have to do that later. And I'm going to go back and forth probably more than 3 times in this case, because as I told you, this yarn is kind of slippery, and I really am enjoying the sweater. The first one I made, I've worn it a lot over the last week or so, and I think it's going to be a sweater that I will enjoy in my wardrobe for a long time to come. So I definitely do not want my ends coming loose. We've worked way too hard on this to not weave in our ends properly, so I like to make sure that they are going to stay put. So that's what we have now, and you need to go do your other panel just the same as we did this one. Make sure you have it turned correctly. So put your 2 panels together just to get a visual, and make sure you are working on the correct side. So there's the back. Want to make sure you have it turned in the right direction. Here's the other side. Okay, here are the 2 panels together. Your sleeves are out this way, and the body is down this way. See if you can see that. So here's a sleeve, and here's a sleeve. And then the body is down this way. And we are getting ready to join this together. So let's pull up just the back. Hold it together like this. And start from the bottom. And we're going to go up this way, just like we joined those sleeves. We're going to slip stitch into the top one. After I fasten on, I'm going to do my stacked single crochet, or you may do your chain 3, whichever you prefer. I'm going to do mine 3 stitches high, as I have been throughout this entire project. And now I'm going to go into the back side of that chain space in that corner, pull up a loop, and just slip stitch straight through it. Okay, into the next space between the clusters, I'm going to do a cluster of 3 double crochet. And I have not used my stitch markers up the back, but if you feel that you need to do that in order to keep them fastened together so you don't get off, you are welcome to do that. And then on the opposite side, with that coordinating space to go into the back of it, grab up a loop and pull it straight through. No yarning over, it's just going to be a slip stitch. And in the next space, I'm going to do another cluster of 3 double crochet. And in the coordinating space across from it, go back in, grab a loop, pull it up, and pull straight through. Now we're going to do that all the way up the back, just as we did the sleeves, and I will meet you at the top of our neck. We're back up to the top of the work, so we have done a cluster in this space, 1 space from the end, and I've already slip stitched into the other side. So these are our last 2 spaces that we're going to work into at the top, just before you get to the top of where the sleeve joins together. So in this one, you're going to work 1 last cluster of 3 double crochet, and then in this one, you're just going to slip stitch, just like we did all the way up this side. Okay? There's the cluster, and now I'm going to slip stitch into that space, go into the back of it just like we did all the way up, pull straight through. Okay, now we are completely attached. And now what I like to do, just to give it a nice finished edge, is to do a single crochet or a half double crochet all the way around the edge. I'm going to do a single crochet because I don't want to add too much width to the edging because it's just the right size for me. So first I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to single crochet into this first space. And since it's a large space, I'm going to do 2 single crochets into that space. This next one is a little smaller. I'm going to do 1 single crochet into that one. The next one is a little large. I'm going to do 2 single crochet into that one. One single crochet into the next one. And when we come back up, we're going to make this symmetrical on the other side. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochet, and we're going to have 6 on this side until we get to where we can just single crochet into the top of these stitches. So the next one is going to be a single crochet. And now we're just going to single crochet in the top of these stitches all the way around. See where it's just a nicer, cleaner edge. So I'm going to do that all the way around, and meet me back when we get here if you need a little help till we meet in the middle. So we've come all the way around and we're back up to the top and into these larger loops just before we get to where we started. You're going to do 1 single crochet. In this larger loop, you're going to do 2 single crochet. You should have 1 more larger loop. You're going to do 2 single crochet. And we need 1 more to join. So we're going to join right here, and I'm going to cut off and do an invisible join into this stitch. Pull it all the way through. Go ahead and put it on your needle. Okay. This is the stitch where we started. We're going to go through there, pull, and then go back in between the stitch where we just started and form a stitch. Can you see? And then we're going to weave in our ends to fasten. And we are finished. Congratulations. I can't wait to hear how your hexi cardis went. I hope you're going to enjoy yours as much as I have been enjoying mine. And I'm going to really enjoy this second one. I think I like the colors of this second one just as much or even more than I did the first one. So I'm really excited about wearing it. So let's do a little fashion show and see how this looks, and see if there's some fun ways that we can style this sweater that you may have not thought of, or that you get some inspiration from. And let's do that together. That's going to be fun. Congratulations! if you've really enjoyed today's tutorial and that you got a gorgeous sweater out of it. Please remember to like and subscribe, come back and watch me again, and remember, my friends, to let your light shine and always stay chic. Bye-bye.
Chic, chic.